Awesome. Thanks so much. Hello, everyone. My name is Jakel Wilson. I am with Lubrizol Corporation. I am a talent sourcing advisor here at Lubrizol, and I've been with the company for just a year this month. I also have my partner, Matt, on here. He's going to be manning the chat for us. So he'll just be jumping in to let us know if we have questions that pop up. And he is also a talent sourcing advisor. And I also invited a guest to speak on behalf of Lubrizol. He's going to, Andrea Solano. He's actually been with Lubrizol the longest of the three of us. I'll introduce him a little bit into our presentation. He's going to talk about his background and some cool stuff as well. I did set up a quick presentation. I'm sharing my screen, so if you can put a thumbs up in the chat to let Matt know that you can see my screen okay, I'll get going. We see any thumbs up yet, Matt? All right. Can you see it, Andreas? Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes,
okay, awesome.
we can see it.
All right. So first thing I'm going to do is give an overall of Lubrizol, what type of company we are. You know, it's important, of course, to know what jobs we have out there, what it's like to work here, but it's really important to know what kind of company would you be applying to? What do we do here? Where are some of our locations? So I'm going to go do a high-level overview of the company as a whole, and then turn over to our special guest, Andreas. So Lubrizol, we are a chemical and manufacturing company. We specialize in specialty chemicals, polymers, additives that kind of just make a lot of products better and more efficient and sustainable. In the next few slides, I'm going to show you some examples of some of those products, some of our customers that are familiar, that are household names that you may not have known had a Lubrizol product in it. We were established in 1928, so we've been around for a little while. We have two main business units. So I mentioned those specialty additives. That just supports the automobile industry. You'll find a lot of industrial lubrications, gasolines, diesel fuels, providing performance additives and for that industry. On the other side, we have the advanced materials side. That's our polymer-based technology and industrial applications and products that are considered for everyday use. So that's going to touch on the medical grade devices, medical supplies, athletic wear, beauty and health products. And again, I'll show you some of those slides of actual products that you may use every day and may not be aware that has a Lubrizol product in it. And this next slide is showing where you'll see some of our additives. So you won't be able to go to an auto parts store and pick up a bottle that has Lubrizol on it, but 9 times out of 10, your car has some type of Lubrizol technology in it, liquid or additive in those products that you use. So you'll see our products in cars, trucks, semis, tractors. And on the advanced material side, which is the side I really like, it's really cool. The everyday products, so your hand sanitizers, your conditioners, even your makeup, lipsticks, time release capsules, medical grade supplies, paints and coatings, the protective films that go over your cars to protect those nice paint jobs, athletic wear, the dry wick material. A lot of that is created in-house here at Lubrizol. So some of our bigger customers that we are allowed to share with you include Nike, Under Armour, Lululemon, L'Oreal, Estee Lauder, Purell. We make a product that goes inside of their chemical-based hand sanitizer. So we touch a lot of different industries. So hopefully that's getting your wheels turning of what kind of, when it comes to technology and engineering, what kind of industries you would be involved in. We have quality engineers in California that are working on medical grade devices, brand new facility built out there. And even here right in Ohio in Brecksville, we create the insole that goes inside of that Nike Air Max. So really cool products. So as I mentioned, we have a lot of products and a lot of different things. So 50% of consumers use at least one product enabled by Lubrizol science, and 50+% of vehicles on the planet on the road right now have a Lubrizol, some type of Lubrizol technology in it. This next slide is just showing you a high-level overview of some of our locations that we have throughout the U.S., and some of our jobs are spread out throughout those different locations. You'll see a star in Ohio in the corner. That's just Cleveland, Ohio. Whitcliffe is a suburb of Cleveland. That is where our headquarters is, where we were established in 1928. We have a few other locations surrounding the Cleveland, Ohio area, Brecksville, Avon Lake, Paynesville. So Matt and I, we support the Whitcliffe site, and Andreas is just about like 20 miles away from us in Brecksville, Ohio. We do work on a hybrid model. So I think all of us are at home right now, but I was on site the last couple of days. And you'll see we have a couple locations on the East Coast and the southern states, West Coast, a couple in the Carolinas, and then you'll see Texas. So even though Whitcliffe is our headquarters, Houston, Texas houses Deer Park. That's actually our largest site. So you'll see a lot of, if you visit our career site, you'll see a lot of postings for Whitcliffe, Brecksville, Paynesville, Deer Park, LaPorte, and even Spartanburg, South Carolina, or Gastonia, North Carolina. So those are like top 5 locations that you'll see some of our positions, but I'm working on a couple quality engineer roles in Corona right now. So we have a little over close to 9,000 employees worldwide. And when I say worldwide, you see the locations that we have within the US, but we also have locations outside of the US that include Brazil, Mexico, India, South Africa, the UK, and Asia Pacific as well. But those employees are in different locations between the US and outside. So we're spread across, we are a global company. So the most important part, you're all here to talk about some of our IS roles, our engineering roles. I wanted to give you an overview of what we have active right now in this system, some of our IS and engineering roles, some of the roles I'm currently working on, some of the network security engineers. We also have a network design engineer and a network delivery engineer that I didn't realize they all did different things, but you learn something new every day. So for all of you engineers out there in different stages of your engineering career, we have 3 different roles right now, and it's due for a lot of the positions are open for different reasons, either backfill. We have a lot of people coming up on retirement, and also growth. And of course, we're not immune to the great migration, so people are finding opportunities elsewhere. But we have seen some statistics that those that have left us have come right back within a year or less. So I've been here a year and I've been enjoying it every step of the way. We also have some data engineering roles, some system engineering roles, information security awareness specialists, SAP security analysts. Here at Lubrizol, we do use SAP. You'll see some research data positions, data scientists, and then in our job titles and job descriptions, you'll see IS. We use IS instead of IT. So if you're an IT guru or a specialist and you're looking for roles here at Lubrizol and you go onto our careers website, you'll see IS. That is still considered IT. We just say IS here. Matt is going to be dropping in some links for you, 2 different links, a link for our career site so that way you can navigate right to all of our postings that we have available right now. The roles that I'm showing right here on our screen, those are located in 3 different locations. So they're split between Whitcliffe, Ohio, Deer Park, Texas, which I mentioned is our largest site, and Spartanburg, in South Carolina. So Spartanburg, South Carolina. So those, we do have roles that are open to other locations, as I mentioned, but I just wanted to call out that these roles that are posted on this screen where those locations are. So Matt's posting our Lubrizol career site link, so that way you can get to all of the roles that we have. He's also posting a link for our personal, as a talent sourcing advisor, we're always building up our talent pool. So if you see these roles and they're not a fit for you, or where you're in your, what phase you are in your career, we have a talent pool link. So we can still get your contact information and then reach out to you when we do have roles that are available that fit your background. So make sure you go to both of them. We can get your information captured, and then add us on LinkedIn as well. So, Matt, did we receive any questions yet so far before before we jump to our special guest?
No questions of now. I did go ahead and drop those 2 links in there as well.
Awesome. All right. So without further ado, I want to introduce our special guest, my speaker that I invited to join us today. And he so graciously accepted the invite. He's now my new best friend. He doesn't know it, but it's Andreas Solano. He has been with Lubrizol for 8 years. He holds a role. His title is a Sales Enablement Global CRM Lead. I'm sure he'll be able to tell you more about what that means in his presentation. But he most recently is leading a digital transformation of Lubrizol through a digital transformation through the implementation of an integrated sales and marketing CRM. I will not mess that up anymore, so I'm going to let Andreas go into more detail of his background, not just with Lubrizol, but just his career overall. Has some really cool stories to tell you, and can really give you a background on what it's like to work here at Lubrizol. Like I said, I'm a year in the game, but he has 8 years on me, so I'm going to pass it over to you, Andreas.
Awesome. Thank you very much. What an introduction. I will say I am actually working on site today, and I wish I could share that with the group, because we do have a beautiful site in Brecksville. It's very scenic. We have a walking track that makes for a great walk at lunchtime. We have a sand volleyball court. We have a full-size basketball court, which I like to get in and use whenever I can, either before or after work. So yeah, coming into work is not always too bad. But anyways, without further ado, I want to get into a little bit about my experience and kind of some things that I have done. So again, as Jakel mentioned, I'm currently leading a digital transformation within one of the business units here in Lubrizol. Now, what does that mean? It means that, over the past, 10, 15, 20 years, really, however you want to slice it, there's been advances in technology. There's been an advance in the way that the world is connected, right? So the world is now much smaller than it was, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. Social media, LinkedIn, et cetera, all these different tools around us, all these different technologies around us have really brought us closer together. Now, with that, there is definitely a need for, that the business has to infuse talent that is going to bring in different perspectives, different ideas to the table, really different ways of looking at traditional problems that have been existing in the business for many years, but now are manifested in a slightly different way. So the theme of my presentation here, my little blurb here, is really going to be all around differentiation. Differentiation, as Jakel mentioned here, or put in the slide for me here, really the key thing is companies must innovate and differentiate by embracing those diverse perspectives. So just in the time that I've been in Lubrizol, in the 8 years that I've been in Lubrizol, I've seen a tremendous amount of change, not only in the culture, but also just in the business operations as well. So on the culture side, I can speak to it that one of the key things that has been happening on the culture side is the rise of our ERGs, our employee resource groups. So, we have several different groups that are represented. There's an employee resource group that represents military veterans. There's one for African Americans, one Asian Americans, Latin Americans, so on and so forth. We also have one that's a LGBT plus group as well. So why is that important? Again, diversity is a hot topic nowadays, and really the whole support behind it, beyond just it kind of being a morally positive thing to move forward with as a business. The benefit to the business itself is, again, bringing people in the room that have had different experiences, come from different backgrounds, different set of eyes that are coming to the table and now looking at a problem in slightly different ways than maybe we would have been able to previously. So while that's important for companies, where I believe there's a parallel between differentiation and the need for companies to be differentiated in order to stay competitive in the marketplace. It's a similar in a similar fashion, candidates for employment also need to differentiate themselves to be competitive in the employment marketplace, right? So, everybody that's here on this on Fair Stream today, I'm not sure exactly what the attendance is, but everybody has experience. Everybody has some form of education. Everybody has some form of interest or commitment to, landing a job, landing a dream job. Well, with that, large number of people, the large sea of applications, how are each of you standing out from the pack? How are each of you grabbing someone's attention and really setting yourself apart and showing what you can do, showing the value that you can offer that potential employer? So Jakel here, she put a chili pepper on the slide, and that's not by mistake. Okay, we did that intentionally because I wanted to share a quick anecdote around my story of how I ended up at Lubrizol. Again, 2014, 8 years ago, so 2014 is when I applied to really my number one internship. I had other internships that I had applied to that summer, but Lubrizol really was my number one. They were my number one choice. And that summer, that spring semester, I was starting to get worried. I would see some of my peers, some of my friends starting to land internships, and I had not landed one yet. So I was starting to get a little worried, a little bit sweaty there in terms of, am I going to end up, with an internship that's going to be so valuable to end up in future employment? Well, I had an idea, and that idea was, again, with differentiation in mind, was how can I set myself apart from the, dozens, potentially hundreds of applicants that I would be going up against, that springtime? How could I land, my dream internship, which again, at the time was Lubrizol? Well, one of the things that I felt set me apart, but also kind of mirrored a career interest of mine, is that I am bilingual. I speak English, obviously, but Spanish as well. And I'm fluent. That was actually my first language. So I saw that as really an asset to whatever company, whatever potential employer, would be out there for me. And I said, okay, that is something that not everybody can say, that they're bilingual, that they're fluent in two languages. Let me put that out there and see if maybe that's enough of differentiation for me to kind of get ahead. Well, I raised the bar on that a little bit higher. And how did I raise the bar? Is I decided, hey, I think I like to consider myself as a Latin. I have some Latin flair to me. I have a little bit of Latin spice to me. So I said, hey, what's a good way to, in a very creative manner, bring that spice over to something as plain and boring and dull as a resume. So I decided I'm going to put a chili pepper on the top right corner of my resume. And prior to sending it out to any potential employers, I actually had my resume reviewed by a few professors. We were having a resume workshop at school, and I had a few professors review it, and one in particular, who was actually the head of the marketing department, really was not a fan of the idea. She told me very directly, very bluntly, that, hey, this is a large corporation, they're a serious company, you can't be doing that. You can't be putting this chili pepper on the top right corner of your resume. They're not going to take you seriously. They're going to throw it right out. And I thought about it. I went back and forth. I said, okay, well, maybe there's merit. Maybe, she obviously knows what she's talking about. She's in a high position in my university. But at the end of the day, I decided, it was going to be me living with whatever outcome came of it. Whether I did land a job or whether I didn't land a job, it was going to be, my own outcome, the outcome that I had to deal with. So I went with it. I followed my gut and I went with it. I left it in there, sent out a bunch of applications. And sure enough, actually, my number one, which was Lubrizol, and then my number two companies came back and actually brought me in for an interview. Now, the interview obviously went well. The rest is history. And now I've been in Lubrizol for 8 years. But the fact of the matter is that I often think about that as, hey, is that something that really was a factor? And I have had actually a few people that did review my resume not only ask me about it, but actually go as far as saying that, hey, yeah, actually, this did catch my attention. This did cause me to stop and actually look at, okay, is this by mistake that somebody put this in here? You know, what is the purpose of this? And when they realized that I had creatively tied that chili pepper, you know, to my brand and the value that I was trying to communicate to a potential employer, which is I am bilingual. You know, I am fluent in Spanish and I can offer that. That's something that sets me apart, and I'm willing to offer that of value, you know, to a potential employer. Well, some of my initial assignments actually in my internship had to do with translations and working very closely with our Latin America team, which since then I've really leveraged into some great career opportunities. So again, keep differentiation in mind. On the company side, the fact that, you know, companies are actively looking for people with diverse backgrounds, diverse perspectives. Lean into that and realize that they're actually embracing that and they're open to it rather than turning their back on it. So embrace that and really, again, lean into that. And then on the candidate side, I want each of you to really stop and think about it tonight. You know, whenever you get a chance, you know, look at your resume or look at your, or, you know, put together a list of, you know, what are the things that kind of make me unique as a person, whether it's your experience, your background, your life experiences in a lot of ways makes you unique as well. Bring something cool to the table, bring something different. What are some of those things? From that list, maybe narrow it down to maybe the top 3, top 5, whatever you like to do, but really think about how you are then communicating that within your resume. You know, it may not be a chili pepper. I might have to trademark that idea and kind of make it my own, but, you know, find your own way, find your own story and find a way to tell it and really bring that across in your resume to stand out from the bunch. So that is a few points there. That's my story. And yeah, hopefully you all got something out of it.
I love that story, Andreas. When you told me, I'm like, why didn't you start off with this? This is the best story ever. So I'm so glad you got a chance to share that. And yes, you know, definitely update that resume. And whenever you update on the resume, make sure it reflects on LinkedIn. So people like myself and Matt, when we're sourcing for candidates utilizing LinkedIn, we can find you and you stand out to us as well. And we would love to make you a partner with us here at Lubrizol Corporation. Even if you are in Texas, even though we're based in Ohio, we won't be able to see each other in person. We use Teams a lot. Even though Andreas and I are both in Ohio, we have yet to meet, but we've talked through Teams, had multiple conversations. So, and that's the beauty of technology and people like you that have those technology backgrounds that are making things more innovative and bringing those ideas and those diverse perspectives and backgrounds to a company like Lubrizol, so that communication is not a barrier here, regardless of where you sit. I just want to call out before we go to the next. Just want to stop. Did we get any questions, Matt, for Andreas?
No questions. No.
All right. And then for those that want to connect with Andreas on LinkedIn, Matt's going to drop in his LinkedIn link. That way you can connect with him on through LinkedIn. And obviously, if you're on LinkedIn, you know, you can chat through there as well and connect as well.
Already on it.
All right, thanks, Matt. So I just want to reiterate some of the things that we have going on here at Lubrizol. We have a lot of engineering and IS, which also means IT roles that are actively open right now. We are sourcing on them. And when we say sourcing, so we post the roles internally and externally, and they go out to these different job boards. Regardless of who's applying, if the amount of candidates coming in seems to be a little low. Myself, Matt, we have 2 other partners, Michelle and Rashida. We go out and use Indeed and LinkedIn and other sourcing tools to find candidates that, 1, may not have heard of a company called Lubrizol, or 2, may not be aware of the types of roles that we have open. So we'll reach out to you, send you emails, messages on LinkedIn to connect, learn more about your background, and then hopefully get you through the interviewing onboarding process and find a role that fits best for your background. I've included my email address here so you can connect with me directly. I am also on LinkedIn as well. Jakel Wilson, JakelWilson on LinkedIn as well. And I do connect back. I just don't send messages, but I add people, because even if we can't find a role for you right now, regardless of where you are in your career, I always like to keep you in our candidate pool, keep that connection. So if something comes up later, we can reach back out. I have someone, I did a job fair in November, and a professor was there. She was co-facilitating with me, and her fiance at the time, he was transitioning from being a principal to going into marketing. He just graduated with his master's. I connected with him back in November. We have some new marketing roles that are out, and it's come full circle. He's applied to those roles, but I made that connection all the way back in November. So these job fairs, those connections are really important. Again, we hope we can find you roles right away, but if not, we love to connect on LinkedIn, and here's our emails as well. So Matt should have included his LinkedIn link as well. Don't forget to go to our career site. So if there's other roles that you're looking for, I just wanted to focus on those engineering and IS roles. We have tons of other roles as well. And then we also have our candidate pool link in the chat as well for you to connect to. In the jobs on Fairstream website, I've posted a lot of these roles so you can apply directly, and those will come right to our job postings. So thank you so much for joining us again. Thank you, Andreas, my special guest, Lubrizol employee for a long time. Matt just joined our team a month ago. So we have a good variety of representation of what a Lubrizol employee is here. And if you don't have any questions, I want to check one more time. Are we good with questions? Feel free to follow up through LinkedIn.
Thank you guys for joining us today. Super appreciate you being here, and can't wait to see you at the next event.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having us.
Bye.
Bye. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Bye.